Amira inhaled slowly, letting the cool marble of the banquet hall floor steady her racing heart. All around her, crystal chandeliers cast rainbows over white linen tables set with sterling silver and pristine place cards. Ivory roses and emerald ferns formed cascading centerpieces that she had personally overseen drying and arranging. A string quartet tuned in the corner. The air smelled of fresh peonies and anticipation. Tonight was Tunde's 40th birthday, an event Amira had spent 5 long months crafting to perfection. Every detail, from the gold-rimmed glasses to the rose-water macarons, had passed through her exacting standards. "Amira, darling, it's breathtaking," Temmie murmured, linking her arm through hers as they did one final walk-through. Temmie's enthusiastic grin was a balm to Amira's frayed nerves. "You've outdone yourself." Amira forced a laugh, smoothing the silk of her emerald gown. "Let's just hope he thinks so." Her gaze flicked toward the stage where a white grand piano waited. Amira had hired Lagos's top jazz pianist. Tunde loved the drama of live music. But beneath her calm exterior, worry gnawed. In recent months, Tunde's late-night phone calls and furtive smiles at his screen had frayed the edges of their marriage. "Remember," Temmie said softly, "you're still the life of the party. Trust your work." Amira nodded and stepped away, scanning the hall. Catering staff placed the final trays of canapes, smoked salmon blinis, truffle-infused mushroom tartlets, while a bartender tested the signature cocktail, Midnight in Victoria Island, a blend of cognac, pomegranate, and mint. Everything glittered beneath the warm lights, yet Amira felt a cold knot of dread twist in her stomach. Outside, a sleek black SUV rolled to a stop. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, Amira saw Tunde exit, buttoning his charcoal suit jacket. He approached the doors, smiling with bright anticipation that mirrored her own early marriage joy. Taking a steadying breath, she crossed the hall to meet him. "Happy birthday," she said, slipping her arm through his. His eyes lit up. "My surprise party, you've outdone yourself," he breathed, pressing a kiss to her temple. He inhaled deeply. "It smells amazing in here." Amira's heart fluttered. "Only the best for you." She led him toward the center of the room, greeting guests, colleagues, investors, old friends, each offering warm congratulations. Tunde's laughter chimed like bells. Amira felt the world click into place beneath her proud smile. Yet as he shook hands and posed for photos, Amira's mind drifted to the private conversations she'd heard behind closed doors, the late-night messages, the flutter of eyelids when his phone buzzed. She swallowed the bitterness rising in her throat. Tonight, her role was the perfect wife, champion, and host. The storm inside her would remain sealed until midnight. 5 years earlier, Tunde collapsed onto their tattered couch, shirt damp with sweat, eyes haunted. The eviction notice lay crumpled on the coffee table. Amira stood over him, arms crossed, exhaustion and resolve in her gaze. "Tunde, we can't keep doing this," she said quietly. "I've called Mrs. Oladipo. She agreed to interview you for that fintech position Monday morning." He rubbed his face, voice cracked. "Amira, I hate being your charity case." She knelt beside him, cupping his hand. "You're not charity. You're my husband. We're a team, remember." The next day, in a sterile conference room, Amira coached him through questions. "Focus on your strategic planning at Delta Bank," she whispered. When he faltered, she shared their story, how he'd restructured their last landlord's debt to avoid foreclosure. His confidence blossomed, and by week's end, an offer letter arrived. In rapid succession, promotions followed. Their modest 2-bedroom flat in Ikoyi gave way to a townhouse in Lekki. Amira continued working as a corporate strategist, her salary funding their upgrades. The first second-hand SUV, then the luxury watches. Each gift was Tunde's gesture of gratitude, an effort to balance scales that only Amira carried. On their 3rd anniversary, they toasted on a rooftop lounge overlooking the lagoon. "To us," he said, eyes gleaming. In that moment, she believed they were unstoppable. But success changed Tunde. He began taking business trips without her, returning late with vague excuses. His confidence curdled into entitlement, and Amira's sacrifices faded from his gratitude into expectation. Still, she clung to hope that love would outweigh ambition. When she proposed this grand birthday celebration, She told herself it would rekindle their spark. Beneath her calm, she replayed their climb from poverty to prosperity, her sacrifices, his deliverance. Yet doubt shadowed her pride. Had he outgrown her? 2 months before the party, Amira sat in their study, a soft jazz playlist filling the room. She unlocked the home tablet to review business news, only to find Tunde's messaging app synced on the home screen. Her pulse quickened as she tapped the icon. A conversation with Kiki appeared, flirty emojis, snapshots of luxury hotels, messages like, "You looked so irresistible in that dress," and "Can't wait to see you this weekend." Amira's breath hitched. Shame and fury warred in her chest. She scrolled further, heart sinking at a transaction alert. 14 million Nigerian nairas sent to luxury drive motors. Her hands trembled as she screenshot the thread. Closing the app, she backed away, fingers cold against the tablet. That night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, tears pooling in silent frustration. A single text message had shattered her trust. The next morning, Amira called Temi. "I found something," she said, voice trembling. "I need your help." Temi arrived within the hour. Over strong coffee, Amira showed her the screenshots. Temi's eyes widened. "We need evidence, bank statements, IP addresses, everything." Over the following days, Amira covertly accessed their joint online account, downloading transaction histories. Each N14 million debit to the car dealership stung more than the last. Unable to face Tunde, or risk confrontation without proof, Amira contacted a discreet private investigator, Detective Adebayo. 2 days later, in a dimly lit office, he laid out his findings. Kiki Adeyemi, a social media influencer and boutique owner, financed almost entirely by Tunde's transfers. Her lavish lifestyle was a facade funded by Amira's savings. Sitting in the gray fluorescent light, Amira felt her heart harden. The betrayal ran deeper than infidelity. It was financial theft. She closed her eyes, feeling the steady click of her resolve locking into place. Revenge was tempting, but she craved revelation, a public reckoning. She would expose Tunde's duplicity at the heart of his milestone celebration, turning his triumph into his downfall. Amira stared at the dossier. Detective Adebayo slid across the mahogany conference table. "Kiki Adeyemi," he began, voice low. Age 28. Social media influencer with 180,000 followers. Boutique owner, claims she built her brand on hustle and heart. In reality, her revenue streams dry up unless there's a new influx of sponsorship or, as your bank records show, personal transfers. Amira's throat tightened. So she really lives this lavish life because of Tunde? Adebayo nodded, tapping a photo of Kiki in a designer gown at a charity gala. Every luxury, designer outfits, exotic vacations, high-end parties, traced back to your joint account. Her publicist maintains it's from brand collaborations, but the invoices don't match reported sponsorships. Amira flipped through pages, boutique lease agreements, Instagram engagement stats, and most damningly, a receipt for the white Mercedes, bought in Kiki's name, paid via Amira's account. She pressed a finger to the invoice. "Doctor's orders," she murmured. Adebayo showed her Kiki's social feed, sun-drenched yacht photos, champagne toasts on private jets, and endless #BossBabe captions. "Her followers envy her independence," Adebayo said, "not knowing it stands on borrowed money." Amira closed her eyes. "And she's been flaunting it at my expense." He folded the dossier. "We can pinpoint her next public appearance. She's hosting a VIP launch next week at Lekki's new rooftop lounge." Amira's pulse quickened as scheming sparks ignited in her chest. "Thank you, detective. Keep this under wraps. No leaks. I want to control every element." Outside his office, Amira hailed a cab, dossier clutched to her side. She thought of Kiki, the confident smile, the perfect hair, the camera's glow. For so long, Amira had admired influencers. Her own industry training recommended partnerships with rising digital stars. Now, that same allure burned with betrayal. Later that evening, Amira sat at her vanity, brushing out her hair. Under the soft lamplight, she imagined the showdown, Kiki strutting into her husband's party, unaware that every move was being tracked. Amira's lips curved into a calm, determined smile. She had learned who Kiki was. Next, she'd ensure everyone else did, too. Under the pretense of gifting her younger sister a first car, Amira walked into Luxury Drive Motors. The showroom gleamed under halogen lights, rows of sedans and convertibles displayed like trophies. A polished salesman approached. "Good afternoon, ma'am. Looking for something special?" Amira offered a gracious smile. "I'm interested in a white Mercedes convertible, specifically, the one with plate ABC 1234. His eyes flicked to the computer. "Ah, that was recently sold, to Ms. K. Adeyemi. Payment cleared from a joint account under Mrs. Amira Okonkwo's name." Amira's heart stalled. "My account?" she repeated softly. "Are you certain?" He nodded, handing over a printed invoice. Her own name, her account number, a sum of 14 million Nigerian nairas. Her money. Her betrayal. She tucked the page into her purse. "Thank you," she said, voice even. "I suppose I'll need to place a special order for my own gift, then." As she stepped outside, Amira steadied herself against the showroom's glass facade. The city's bustle pressed in, the honking danfos, motorcycle swarms, the distant hum of generators. She inhaled, letting Lagos's pulse settle her storm. "Back home," she called Temi. "Stage 1 complete," she said, voice low. "I have the invoice. Next, the reveal." That night, Amira sat at her dining table, enveloped in quiet. She drafted emails to her event planner and videographer. To Chitty, event planner. "Please add an extra VIP to the birthday list. Kiki Adeyemi. She must have a printed invite. Also, schedule a security check for her ID at the entrance. No one should turn her away." To Damilola, videographer. "Keep cameras rolling from guest arrivals. Focus on vehicle pull-up shots. You won't regret capturing this." She paused before sending, picturing the chaos. Keek's confident smile as she sashayed in, only to meet a wall of cameras and an unexpected host. Amira previewed her own outfit, a sleek emerald sheath that matched her eyes, heels sharply pointed. Perfect for a queen overseeing her court. Before bed, she pulled on her phone's banking app one last time, saving a copy of the Mercedes invoice to a secure folder labeled Evidence. She set a reminder, 10 p.m. on Tunde's birthday, open dossier and push the play button. As she drifted off, Amira's calm resolve glowed brighter than any chandelier. A week before the party, Amira and Temi reviewed the final guest list over lunch at a trendy Lekki cafe. Temi tapped the list on her tablet. "Our uninvited VIP isn't on here yet," she noted. Amira sipped her coconut mint iced tea. "That's by design. I created an anonymous RSVP link, sent through mutual connections. Kiki won't know it's from me." Temi arched an eyebrow. "Clever. What about security?" Amira pulled up her phone. Email to Chitty, strict entry protocol. No one, regardless of status, enters without matching invite and ID. He's amused but compliant. Later that afternoon, Amira video called Chitty. "Chitty, I need to finalize the seating plan," she said. "Please include a special table for Kiki. Make it front and center, near the stage. We need her spotlight exposed." Chitty chuckled. "You've thought of everything. I'll arrange camera crews front row." "Perfect," Amira replied. She hung up, imagining the scene. Keek's glamorous entrance met with strobe lights and social media cameras, all trained on her. That evening, Amira sent a discreet WhatsApp to Damilola. "Damilola, entrance cam on gate. Use drone if possible. Capture the convertible pulling in. I want every angle." The next morning, Amira received confirmation. Kiki had RSVP'd through the link, her name highlighted in the planner's dashboard. Temi raised a glass of sparkling water. She walked right in. Amira smiled, heart racing. When she arrives, the cameras will be live. We'll have Temi posting teasers on gossip blogs. Mystery guest crashes birthday bash. Social media will be primed. On the morning of the party, Amira oversaw the installation of velvet ropes on the driveway, discreet press signs, and a glamour photo op backdrop. She donned her emerald dress, last-minute touch-ups at her vanity. Temi applied her lipstick, a bold crimson. As they left for the venue, Amira felt the thrill of a director awaiting her masterpiece's premiere. Tonight, the perfect party would finally reveal its true star. The soft notes of the string quartet drifted through the hall as Tunde raised his glass for a toast. Laughter and clinking champagne flutes rippled across the crowd. Amira stood nearby, porcelain mask of calm, emerald gown hugging her frame, eyes scanning the room. Tunde's comic relief speech about his youthful clumsiness drew chuckles, but Amira barely heard it. She watched the entrance instead. Suddenly, the deep growl of an engine pierced the music. Conversations faltered. Phones lifted. Through the glass doors, headlights cut swaths of light across the marble floor. Tunde's grin flickered, uncertainty touching his eyes. Amira's pulse tapped a steady rhythm. Now. Outside, a white Mercedes convertible glided in, its roof down, revealing a woman in full glam, Kiki. She stepped out, one hand on the door, the other on her hip, sunglasses perched atop perfectly coiffed curls. The polished chrome reflected parquet floors as she paused, soaking in the scene. Then she tossed her hair, smirk blooming on her lips. Inside, the quartet missed a beat, a hush fell. Staffers exchanged startled looks. Reporters on the guest list whipped out cameras. The engine's echo faded into murmurs and gasps. Kiki swept through the doors like a carnival queen. High heels clicked a confident cadence as she crossed the room toward the stage. Her white leather jacket swung open to reveal a sequined top, thousands of crystals catching every light. She carried a bouquet of luxury-branded roses, brushing them against her cheek as if to scent the moment. Tunde rose, flushed with embarrassment. Kiki. What? Kiki raised a manicured brow. Happy birthday, baby. Her voice rang like a bell. She set the roses on a side table and pressed a luxurious box into Tunde's hands. I saw this and thought of you. Silence roared. Tunde forced a smile and nodded at Amira. Honey, this is Kiki. Amira inclined her head, eyes steady. Kiki. Her voice was soft but carried to the farthest corners. I'm glad you could make it. She offered an outstretched hand before smoothly turning back to the crowd, masking any flicker of surprise. Guests snapped photos, Kiki lavishing Tunde with affection, Amira observing from the background, calm, composed, inscrutable. A faint whisper ran through the hall. Is that the mistress? Did he really buy her that car? Kiki ignored the whispers, drifting to a high-top table. She dialed her phone, live stream icon blinking. I'm here at the hottest party of the season, she chirped, voice bright. Thanks, baby, she tapped a finger to her lips. For this ride. She panned to the convertible parked just outside, then back to herself, red lips curving into a satisfied smile. Meanwhile, Amira slid between guests, discreetly checking her watch. Cameras trained on Keek's every move fed into her plan. The arrival had gone exactly as she'd orchestrated. Glamorous entrance, live broadcast, stunned audience. All that remained was the grand reveal. Within seconds of Keek's arrival, her Instagram Live ballooned with viewers. Look at this ride, she cooed, gesturing to the convertible still visible through the doors. Comments scrolled up. So extra. He's such a player. Is this even his wife's party? Back on the dance floor, Temi elbowed Amira. Go to Channel 3, it's already trending. Amira nodded and slipped behind a high table where Damilola, the videographer, monitored multiple screens. One feed showed Keek's live broadcast, another captured the hallway. Damilola tapped a button, uploading gate entrance clip now. Temi pulled out her phone. I'm posting a quick teaser on Lagos Gossip Blog. Mystery convertible crashes the party. Mistress or mogul? She hit send. Within moments, the blog's push notification pinged across hundreds of subscriber phones. On the main hall screens, Amira's inside ally, Balaji, cued a silent slideshow of text messages overlaying Keek's image. Bought with whom's money? The caption flickered, #birthday-drama, in bold red letters. Murmurs rippled through guests as many swiveled chairs to watch. Keek's live stream choked on notification alerts. "So many loves," she squealed, then winked at her phone camera. "Don't miss an update. Stay tuned." She tucked her phone into her jacket pocket and made her way to the buffet, hair swinging like a pendulum. Meanwhile, the lobby outside saw staff hurriedly set up a snack station for arriving reporters, cueing them to film Keek's every next step. The official event hashtag Tunde turns 40 exploded on social media, now hyperlinked with gossip tags. Screens in the VIP lounge scrolled heated discussions. "Who's she?" "He's so shameless." "Wife is queen." Amira sipped champagne at a side table, eyes bright with anticipation, as the pressure built. She texted Temi, "Phase 2 ready." Within 5 seconds, Temi replied, "Slideshow queued." "On your mark." Kiki, oblivious to the brewing storm, selected hors d'oeuvres, a truffle arancini and caviar popper, while chatting on her phone. "Absolutely, babe. I love it." Her laughter rang out, sharp and carefree. From a laptop at strategic corner, Balaji hit play. The slideshow illuminated the big screens. First, a bank app screenshot showing a 14 million Nigerian nairas withdrawal. Next, a dealership invoice with Amira's name. Then, the flirty texting thread. Gasps and outraged whispers swelled into a crescendo. Kiki froze mid-bite. Her phone slipped from her hand onto the gilt-edged table. Faces turned. Phones lifted again, this time to film her horror. Amira rose, smoothing her gown, gliding toward the stage. Her entry halted the murmurs instantly. The hall, once festive, stood on the brink of charged silence. Cameras tracked her every step, broadcasting to every live stream. The final act was about to begin. Amira mounted the small dais and grasped the microphone with graceful authority. Crystal lights refracted off her emerald earrings as she surveyed the sea of stunned faces. Tunde stood off to one side, mouth agape. Kiki sat frozen at a VIP table, phone forgotten. "Thank you all for celebrating with us tonight," Amira began, voice calm and resonant. "You've heard how we climbed from young graduates eking by in Lekki to building a life of comfort." She paused, letting warm applause ripple like a wave. "Generosity is a beautiful thing," she continued, tone warm. "But when it's taken for granted, it turns from kindness into weakness." Tunde's gaze met hers, a flicker of panic in his eyes. Amira clicked the remote. The main screen lit up with the first slide, 2 payment confirmations, each showing 14 million Nigerian nairas debited from her joint account. "Oh," whispered someone in the front row. Kiki swallowed, lips parting in shock. Amira let the slide linger, then clicked again. A series of images followed, the dealership invoice, bank transfer timelines, and the flirty text messages. Each image loomed larger, stripping away the night's veneer. Amira stepped forward, letting her voice carry across the hush. "Every gift, every getaway, every glossy post you've admired, Kiki, was funded by me." Keek's face went pale. A single tear tracked down her cheek. Tunde opened his mouth to speak but closed it again, unable to form words. Drawing herself to full height, Amira offered one final slide, a simple statement in bold red letters, "Paid for with trust. Misused with betrayal." The room erupted into shocked gasps and whispers. Amira lowered the mic. "Good night," she said softly, then turned on her heel. The spotlight followed her out, leaving a tableau of humiliation behind. Keek's trembling hand, Tunde's haunted eyes, and a crowd buzzing with the raw power of truth revealed. As she descended the steps, Amira felt the oppressive weight of deceit lift from her shoulders. The perfect party, she realized, was never about celebration. It was about unveiling reality. And in that moment, she stood victorious. The boom of the projector's fan was the only sound in the suddenly hushed banquet hall. Amira stood on the small stage, emerald gown catching the light as she raised the microphone. Hundreds of eyes, guests, colleagues, investors, curious onlookers, were fixed on her. Tunde hovered at the edge of the crowd, his smile frozen and faltering. A single spotlight illuminated Amira as she clicked the remote. The screen behind her sprang to life with the first image, a stark screenshot of her online banking app. 2 large debits of 14 million Nigerian nairas each lay highlighted in red, time-stamped 3 weeks apart. Murmurs rippled through the audience. Amira paused, letting the significance settle. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, voice poised and strong, "you've watched us build a life over the last 5 years, our home, our careers, our dreams." She spread her arms in a gesture of openness, the audience leaning in. Generosity is a cornerstone of love, but generosity without gratitude becomes an invitation. She clicked again. The next slide, a detailed invoice from Luxury Drive Motors, printed on official letterhead, showing sale of a white Mercedes convertible. Atop it, in bold, her name, Mrs. Amira Okonkwo. Below, payment method, joint account, 12345678890. The total, 14 million Nigerian nairas. Gasps rose like waves. Tunde's face paled. He stepped forward as if to intercept. "Amira, please, this isn't necessary." "Necessary." Amira's pleasant tone sharpened. "Let me finish." She lowered her gaze as if in sympathy. "You see, when I chose to invest in our life, I did so wholeheartedly, trusting every naira would be used wisely. Trust is fragile. And tonight, I want to clarify how some gifts came to be." She clicked once more. The slide changed to side-by-side images. On the left, a screenshot of a flirty message bubble from Tunde to Kiki reading, "Can't wait to see you in that dress, baby." On the right, Kiki's reply, "You spoil me so much, red hearts." A hush descended. Guests exchanged startled glances. A few jolted out of seats. Tunde's jaw clenched. He mouthed something, an apology perhaps, but no sound came. Amira let the images linger, letting their implications burn. Then she spoke softly. "What happens behind closed doors often shapes what appears in public. The funds I earned, with sweat and strategy, were quietly diverted to uphold someone else's illusion of love." She paused, gaze sweeping the room. "Let's be clear, I never begrudged him kindness. But those funds were ours, meant for our home, our family." She allowed a rueful smile. "Instead, they fueled deception." A recorded clip played, hidden camera footage of Kiki's white Mercedes pulling into the driveway, Kiki stepping out, her laughter echoing, unaware the drivers were capturing her every move. On the live feeds, people gasped anew. Phones pointed inward to film the projector footage. Amira clicked off the slideshow and raised her hand, silencing the crowd. "I believe in accountability," she declared. "And tonight, I reclaim what was theirs by right." Whispered confirmation spread. "She's incredible. What a woman." Investors shifted in discomfort, some checking their watches. Tunde glared, eyes burning with betrayal and the first flicker of shame. He took a hesitant step forward. "Amira, we can talk." She shook her head. "No, Tunde. This conversation is over." She turned to the silent videographer stationed in the back. "Send this to every major platform," she said. "Let the world hear it." As Amira descended the dais, she felt the weight lift from her shoulders. The receipts, once just numbers on a screen, had become symbols of truth. They had exposed the cost of betrayal, and in that exposure, Amira found her own strength. By dawn, the video of Amira's stage reveal had spread across social media like wildfire. The hashtag receipt season trended nationwide in under 2 hours. Morning shows replayed her speech in looping segments. Political talk programs debated the ethics of financial infidelity. Newspapers splashed bold front-page headlines, "Wife exposes husband's mistress at birthday bash," and "Corporate strategist reclaims 28 million Nigerian nairas in dramatic reveal." Tunde woke to a barrage of missed calls, his boss, board members, even his elderly aunt. His phone buzzed non-stop with push notifications, Twitter notifications, news alerts, WhatsApp group chats igniting. He propped himself up in bed, eyes puffy, searching for any message from Amira. Nothing. Just multiple voicemails from colleagues offering condolences or urging a damage control statement. Half-dressed, he scrolled through Instagram. A clip of Kiki's arrival, followed by Amira's reveal, had amassed over 2 million views. Comments varied from outrage to admiration. Finally, justice for the unsung wife. "He's so shameless. Teach him a lesson." He clicked on his own mention, CEO turned clown, haha. The sting in hate comments resonated deeper than any business critique. By mid-morning, reporters had staked out his office building. He peered at them through tinted windows as he entered the lobby. Cameras flashed. His heart thudded. He was escorted by security to an empty conference room. The CEO emerged, face grave. "Tunde," she said quietly. "Our board is concerned. This is leaking into investor relations. I recommend you issue a statement, or step down." He swallowed. "I understand." The word felt like an admission of defeat. Meanwhile, Amira's phone vibrated with congratulatory messages. Unlike Tunde's, her notifications were mostly supportive. Icon status. "You are my hero. When's the memoir coming?" She read them over breakfast, avocado toast and herbal tea, smiling at the solidarity. Even her mother-in-law, after initial outrage, sent a timid text, "You did what any woman would do." Amira took a deep breath and composed her own social media post. "Tonight's events were painful, but truth heals. I stand for transparency and respect. Hashtag paid in full." Her post lit up with likes and shares. Within minutes, various women's groups reached out asking her to speak at events. A major podcast invited her for an episode. The crisis was fast becoming her platform. Out of necessity, Tunde crafted a brief apology on LinkedIn. "I regret personal decisions that have caused hurt. I will take time to reflect." It drew polite comments from professional contacts but failed to quell the narrative. His team scrubbed his biography from the firm's website. Investors hit pause on a pending Series B pitch. By late afternoon, Kiki, who had gone unreachable, finally posted her own short statement. "I apologize to all affected parties. I was unaware of his marital status." Almost immediately, friends of Amira called to remind her of public record. Kiki had been at multiple joint events with Tunde. The lie was transparent. As the sun set over Lagos, the city's skyline mirrored the evening news. Amira rising in triumph, Tunde in freefall, Kiki a cautionary tale. The public fallout had not only torn apart a family, it had rewritten power dynamics. And at the center of it all, Amira stood unbowed, ready for what came next. The next morning, Amira's phone rang before sunrise. It was her husband's sister, Moreo. "Amira, please, it's chaos." Moreo's voice trembled. "Our parents are furious at the humiliation. They want an explanation." Amira, calm in the sanctuary of her bedroom, pressed a hand to her heart. "Moreo, I understand their pain. But I needed to be heard." Moreo sighed. "You're brave, but you've made this harder for everyone." Amira took a breath. "Harder, yes. But necessary. I gave our family years of patience. Tonight, I chose honesty." She ended the call and opened a group chat with her own mother and sister. Their messages flooded in. "Mother, you are my daughter. I'm proud." "Sister, legend status. Let them talk. You did right." A warmth spread through her chest. Family she chose had rallied behind her. The ones she'd married into, her in-laws, were scrambling for damage control. Moreo texted again, "Dad is calling a family meeting." Amira replied, "I'll attend, if only to set the record straight." She dressed in a smart navy suit, business casual yet authoritative, and headed to her in-laws' home in Ikoyi. At the mahogany dining table, clan elders gathered. Her father-in-law glowered. Mother-in-law's eyes brimmed with tears. Tunde sat at the head, red-eyed, guilt etched in every line of his face. Her father-in-law spoke first. "Amira, our family's reputation is in tatters. Why confront him in public?" Amira met his gaze. "Reputation built on lies is worthless. Tunde and I had private conversations. They led nowhere. I had to reclaim my voice, and our assets." Her mother-in-law sniffled. "But the shame." Amira's mother, seated beside her, reached out. "Shame is fleeting. Integrity is forever." Silence reigned. Finally, her father-in-law exhaled. "You've always been direct. His tone softened. Just, remember, we are still family. Amira inclined her head. Thank you. I want us to heal. She turned to Tunde. I'll participate in family events when there's honesty. He nodded, unable to speak. After the meeting, her own mother enveloped her in a hug. You did the right thing, not just for yourself, but for every woman who felt powerless. Amira's heart swelled. The family reactions were mixed, some bruised, some supportive, but the pivot was clear: she had reclaimed agency. As she left, she saw a new sunrise crest over Lagos's skyline. Truth, she realized, could fracture old bonds but forge stronger, honest ones. Kiki Adeyemi awoke in her minimalist Lekki apartment to the pings of emergency alerts. Her phone vibrated with messages from her publicist, her boutique manager, and panicked friends. Groggily, she scrolled through notifications. All partnerships terminated. Brand collaborations on hold. Store shelves cleared by clients. She sat up, heartbeat thundering. Yesterday's glamour, yacht photos, champagne toasts, had vanished into a deluge of cancelled orders and contract terminations. On Instagram, hateful comments blanketed her feed. You knew he was married. Paid accomplice. Good riddance. Kiki threw her phone aside and drew a shaky breath. She paced her living room, where chic furniture now felt sterile. She replayed the footage of Amira's reveal, the projector slides, the hush, her own tears. In her high heels and sequined top, she had looked invincible, until her world crumbled. Her publicist, Toby, burst in, hands full of printed articles. You need a statement, now. His voice was urgent but cautious. Kiki sank onto the sofa. I didn't know. She buried her face in her hands. I thought he loved me. Toby set the articles on the glass coffee table. Everyone's saying you're a liar. He tapped a headline, Influencer accomplice exposed by wife. What's the real story? Through tears, Kiki looked up, eyes red. I met him at that gala last year. He promised the world. I thought it was real. Her voice cracked. But I never asked about his marriage. I was blind. Toby straightened. Fine. We'll do a video, apology, full confession. Admit ignorance, express regret. Maybe some brands will reconsider. Kiki nodded, wiping tears. Okay. Later that afternoon, she sat before her ring light, recording a shaky apology video. I deeply regret my involvement. I was unaware of Mrs. Okonkwo's role. I apologize for the pain caused. She forced a smile. I'll be stepping back from social media to reflect. She posted it, but the damage was done. Comments lauded her tearful honesty, but few believed her. Within hours, her boutique's Instagram page showed declining follower counts. Suppliers reported bounced checks. A lawsuit notice arrived. A co-investor claimed breach of contract. By evening, Kiki's world had shrunk to her apartment's four walls. The convertible sat abandoned outside her mother's house, its engine cold. Kiki stared at it through the window, realization dawning. The symbols of her success were purchased with the blood and sweat of another. She sank to the floor and wept, the final fragments of her glamorous mirage dissolving into the reality of consequences. The crash of her own downfall, she understood, had been set in motion the moment she chose to bask in borrowed power. The morning after the fallout, Lagos felt different to Tunde. The usual traffic gridlock seemed charged with whispers. He parked in the company garage, heart pounding, and braced himself for the inevitable. His security badge no longer granted free passage. He was escorted to a glass-walled conference room instead. Inside, the board's executive assistant offered him a seat. Minutes later, CEO Olufunk Adeyemi entered, her expression solemn. Tunde stood. Please, have a seat, she said gently. She closed the door. Tunde, we've reviewed the situation. Your personal controversy is impacting investor confidence and staff morale. He swallowed. I understand. Olufunk folded her hands. Effective immediately, you're on paid leave pending a full review. We'll reassign your projects and suspend your board memberships. Tunde's chest tightened. I'd like to explain. Her gaze was firm. This isn't about your apology. It's about the optics. I'm sorry. She stood, signaling the meeting's end. Tunde exited in a daze, clutching his briefcase. In the lobby, colleagues he'd mentored avoided his eyes. A junior analyst lowered her gaze as he passed. That afternoon, his email flooded with HR memos: update your out of office, return your company laptop, contact the union representative. By evening, he found himself in his parents' living room, recounting the events to their worried faces. His mother dabbed at her eyes. "You'll find another job," she reassured. His father nodded, though his voice cracked. "We're here for you, son." But Tunde felt adrift. He polished resumes in a quiet corner of his childhood home, browsing job portals, LinkedIn notifications blinking with recruiter messages that never converted to interviews. Every rejection email felt personal. "Thank you, but we've chosen another candidate." He wondered if anyone would hire the man whose private life was laid bare on national feeds. A week later, he attended a networking mixer, an awkward gauntlet of forced smiles and half-heard whispers. Over lukewarm cocktails, someone approached. "Hey, Tunde, rough patch." It was a former colleague. He offered a business card. "My firm's expanding. Let's chat." Grateful, Tunde nodded. But as he left, he realized his reputation had taken a permanent dent. No matter the apology videos or LinkedIn statements, he'd become a cautionary tale. That night, alone in his childhood bedroom, he stared at the ceiling. The skyline glowed beyond the window, testament to a life he once commanded. Now, it felt miles away. He vowed he would rebuild, but differently. No grand gestures, no shortcuts. Only hard work, humility, and genuine respect for trust earned and preserved. Amira entered Barrister Okoye's office with quiet confidence. The mahogany desk was piled with documents, bank statements, the dealership invoice, copies of the Instagram live recording. Okoye looked up, giving her a respectful nod. "You have formidable evidence," he said. "Financial records, witness statements, even third-party confirmations. We can secure at least 60% of joint assets and full custody of your accounts during proceedings." Amira settled into the leather chair. "I want to ensure he cannot access funds until the divorce is finalized. And I want the car back, legally." He tapped his pen. "Under Nigerian matrimonial law, we'll file a motion for interim relief. I'll draft a petition for exclusive use of the car and freeze the account. Your request is strong." She exhaled. "And the divorce itself?" He projected a calm outline: negotiation, mediation, or court trial. "Given the public nature, your husband's counsel will likely seek settlement to avoid further embarrassment. But we must be prepared for trial dates, about 3 months from filing." Amira nodded. "Let's proceed." "I'm ready." Okoye smiled. "I'll prepare the papers. Sign here and here." She inked her signature, each flourish a step toward liberation. Later, Amira met Tunde at Okoye's chamber. His shoulders slumped, eyes rimmed red. His lawyer arrived, tone professional. They sat across from each other, two former partners now adversaries on paper. Okoye presented the motion: freeze account, transfer vehicle title to Amira's sole name, and interim maintenance request. Tunde's lawyer raised objections but quickly found they lacked weight against the evidence. Within the hour, both sides signed the interim agreement. Amira shook Tunde's hand politely. "I wish you well," she said softly. He nodded, voice hoarse. "I'm sorry." She offered a curt smile. "I have everything I need." Outside, she felt a twinge of sorrow, for what was lost, and for the man she once loved. But her resolve remained unbroken. 2 weeks later, Amira climbed the steps to her new Ikoyi apartment, a sleek high-rise with panoramic lagoon views. The doorman handed her a keycard. She swiped through to her unit. The door slid open to reveal a bright, airy living space. Whitewashed walls, light oak floors, floor-to-ceiling windows. She inhaled, setting her luggage down. Temi entered moments later, carrying potted plants and a welcome basket of artisanal coffee. They laughed as they began unpacking. Plants by the windows, family photos on minimalist shelves, a sleek desk in the study corner. "Feels like home already," Temi said, fluffing a pillow on the couch. Amira smiled, walking to the balcony. The Lego skyline glittered. Boats drifted lazily on the lagoon. She leaned against the railing, breathing in the cool evening breeze. This flat was bought with her own resources. No joint accounts, no hidden transfers, just her career and her new settlement. That night, she recorded her first YouTube vlog, "Hello, and welcome to my new chapter." Her voice bright, she gave a tour, the open-plan kitchen, the living area, her small workspace. She spoke candidly about her journey, betrayal, empowerment, and the importance of financial independence in relationships. Comments poured in, "Inspiring. Concrete proof we can rebuild. Where did you get that coffee table?" She smiled, replying in real time. For the first time in months, she felt joy untainted by anger. Over the next days, her subscriber count climbed steadily. She posted videos on budgeting in marriage, spotting financial red flags, and negotiating asset division, expertise born of her own ordeal. NGOs reached out to collaborate. A women's finance summit invited her as a keynote speaker. Each morning, she sipped coffee on her balcony, drafting content ideas. The apartment, once a blank canvas, now felt suffused with purpose and possibility. She texted Temi, "I think I love this place." Temi replied with a string of heart emojis. Amira closed her eyes, gratitude swelling. The new flat was more than a space. It was her symbol of rebirth. In these walls, she would build a community of empowered women, and a life defined by her own terms. Under the bright studio lights of Morning Lagos Live, Amira smoothed her blazer and smiled at host Funk Adeyemi. The on-set audience, women and men alike, applauded her entrance. "Amira, thank you for joining us," Funk began. "Your story has captured hearts nationwide. What drove you to go public?" Amira took a measured breath. "I realized silence can be a prison. By sharing my experience, financial betrayal and public exposure, I wanted other women to know they're not alone, and that transparency is powerful." Funk nodded. "Some critics argue you made it a spectacle." Amira tilted her head. "Drama is the language of attention. But behind every dramatic reveal is a lesson. Protect your assets, value your worth, and demand respect." A graphic popped up with viewer tweets. "Her courage saved me from a bad marriage. Financial infidelity is real. Thank you for shedding light." Funk leaned forward. "You've launched Legacy First Consultancy. What advice do you give clients?" Amira's eyes lit. "Start with joint account agreements and clear budgeting conversations. Set boundaries on shared finances. And always maintain some personal savings you control." An audience member raised her hand. "How do you forgive and move on?" she asked. Amira smiled gently. "Forgiveness is for you, not them. It's freeing yourself from anger. For me, that meant focusing on my new ventures and surrounding myself with supportive people." The segment closed with Funk praising Amira's poise and signing off, "Lagos, give it up for Amira Okonkwo, an inspiration to us all." After the taping, production assistants congratulated her. A literary agent approached, business card in hand. "I'd love to discuss that memoir you mentioned." Amira accepted it with a gracious nod. In the parking lot, her phone buzzed with invites. Book publishers, corporate sponsors, speaking engagements. She paused, smiling at the flurry of opportunities. Each one was a testament to her transformation, from wronged wife to influential thought leader. Driving home, she reflected on how far she'd come, from heartbreak on a grand stage to a new platform for empowerment. The interview was more than media exposure. It was the beginning of her legacy. And she was ready for every next chapter. Sunlight filtered through the half-drawn curtains of Kiki Adeyemi's Lekki apartment, illuminating a scene of utter chaos. Her once pristine living room was littered with crumpled tissues, glass shards from a broken champagne flute, and the glowing screens of multiple devices, each displaying the same horrifying headline, Influencer's faked luxury exposed Ian wife's birthday reveal. Kiki sat on the edge of her sofa, fingertips trembling as she scrolled through the onslaught of notifications. Brand managers' emails piled up, contract terminated. Sponsorship withdrawn. Her boutique assistant's last message blinked, store closed by clients demanding refunds. She flinched as her phone buzzed. Detritus of Instagram DMs from former fans begged explanations. One message read, "I looked up to you. How could you be so blind?" Another, "You're a fraud." Summoning what remained of her composure, Kiki dialed her publicist, Toby. He answered on the second ring, voice tight. "Kiki, you need to record an apology video, now. Tone must be contrite, admit fault. Maybe you salvage something." Her voice cracked. "But they know it was all lies. How do I explain?" "Spin it as ignorance," he advised. "You'll say you were duped emotionally, an easy mark. Emphasize your regret, your intention to rebuild authentically. Brands might consider a comeback story." Kiki ran a hand through her hair, mascara staining her palms. "Okay, I'll do it." She propped her phone on a stack of fashion magazines and hit record. "Hi everyone," she began, voice wavering. "I'm deeply sorry for the hurt I've caused. I was in a relationship I thought was real, and I failed to verify the truth. I take full responsibility." Each word felt like acid. She ended with, "I'm stepping back from social media to reflect and rebuild honestly." She posted it, hoping contrition would quell the storm. But the response was merciless. Too little, too late. "Nothing genuine about tears. You're still profiting off our sympathy." Her phone buzzed again, this time a notification from the court e-file, a civil suit filed by Amira's lawyer seeking repayment of 28 million Nigerian nairas plus damages. Kiki's heart sank. The collapse of her empire was complete. By nightfall, she locked herself in her bathroom, sobbing against the cool tile. The robbery of her reputation was irreversible. In that mirror's reflection, she saw not an influencer, but a cautionary figure, the mistress who crashed a birthday party and paid the ultimate price. Tunde stepped off the bus onto a dusty street in Surulere, his new commute after losing his Lagos office parking privileges. The morning sun was mercilessly bright, matching the sting of rejection letters still unread in his email. He'd moved back into his parents' modest home, trading executive suites for a single room adorned with childhood posters. He crossed the threshold, greeted by his younger brother, Kunal. "Big brother, how was the interview?" Tunde forced a smile. "First one. We'll see." Kunal flung an arm around him. "You'll land something soon. You're too talented to stay down." Inside, his mother fussed over jollof rice and fried plantain. "Eat, son. You need energy." She pressed a plate into his hands. As he ate, his father cleared his throat. "Son, we've talked to my friend at the bank. They might have an opening in corporate relations." Tunde nodded, mouth full. Gratitude and humiliation warred inside him. He was a fallen highflyer now reliant on familial charity. 2 days later, he arrived at the bank, a smaller, quieter office. His suit felt ill-fitting, his confidence threadbare. In the waiting room, he sat next to a frazzled graduate clutching a portfolio. They exchanged glances, competitors in a new kind of rat race. The manager called his name. Tunde entered, delivered his pitch, and left with a polite handshake, no offer. The manager's last words, "We'll be in touch." He walked home under a bruised sky, each footstep heavy. His world had shrunk from elegant boardrooms to rented rooms and front desk interviews. The man who once commanded respect now begged for second chances. That evening, he scrolled through his phone. Amira's social media had transformed. Legacy first posts, empowerment videos, speaking tours. She glowed with purpose. The man who had stolen from her was now irrelevant in her narrative. Tunde closed the app. He imagined writing an honest account of his downfall, a cautionary memoir. But he lacked inspiration. His biggest mistake had been betraying the woman who believed in him most. He vowed, to survive, he must rebuild his integrity before his career. to learn from Amira's example, not repeat his own. The road ahead was uncertain, but now he understood that trust, once shattered, demanded more than words. It demanded actions. In a bright co-working space overlooking the lagoon, Amira held her first strategy session for Legacy First Consultancy. A group of 10 women gathered around a high table, notebooks open, eyes expectant. Her assistant, Balaji, set up a slide deck, protecting your finances in relationships. Amira greeted them with warmth. Welcome to Legacy First. Today, we focus on financial boundaries, how to protect yourself without compromising partnership. She clicked to a slide, #1, joint versus separate accounts. She guided the discussion, sharing her own story in measured detail. The women nodded, some wiping tears. One attendee raised her hand. How do I broach this conversation with my spouse? Amira paused, choosing words carefully. Begin with transparency. Share financial goals, fears, and historical spending habits. Use we instead of you. It's a joint journey. After the session, attendees approached her for one-on-one coaching. One professional mother hugged her. You saved my marriage. Another small business owner booked a private audit. By month's end, Legacy First's calendar was full. Corporate workshops, university seminars, a partnership with a major bank to offer joint account templating services. Amira's subscriber base soared past 100,000. Her revenue streams diversified with speaking fees, affiliate partnerships, and her upcoming memoir advance. That afternoon, she received an email, invitation to speak at the African Women in Finance Summit in Johannesburg. A dream come true. She accepted, legs tingling with excitement. Later, she stood on her Ikoyi balcony, surveying the city. From betrayal's ashes, she'd built a brand empowering thousands. Each logo-branded tote bag sold, each webinar hosted, each handshake exchanged, proof of her resilience. The victim had become the guide, leading others away from the pitfalls she once endured. A year had passed since the birthday party debacle. Amira sat at a cozy table in a quiet Lekki cafe, laptop open, reviewing her memoir outline. Her phone buzzed, coffee break. It was Chuka, ethical tech founder, divorced father of one, and the man she'd met at a speaking engagement. She clicked, yes, and tucked her laptop away. He arrived moments later, tall and easy smiling, carrying his toddler daughter, Ada, on his hip. Hey, bright and early, he teased, settling her in a chair. Amira laughed. You and your schedules. She reached out to ruffle Ada's curls. Thanks for the company. Chuka flagged the waitress. 2 cappuccinos, please. He turned to Amira. How is the memoir coming? She sighed happily. Draft outline done. Working on chapter 3. But I wanted to hear about your new app. Over coffee, they talked of code and content, of startups and self-care. Their conversation flowed, laughter intertwined with thoughtful pauses. She found in him a listener who valued her mind as much as her story. As Ada toddled between their chairs, Amira watched Chuka juggle fatherhood and ambition. She felt a stirring she hadn't allowed herself in months. Cautious hope. Before parting, Chuka offered to help with her website redesign. I've got a new UX team looking for real-world clients. She agreed, heart skipping. Walking home, Amira reflected on love's unexpected arcs. She had once defined herself by partnership, only to lose it. Now, with Chuka, she sensed a union built on mutual respect and shared purpose, not financial dependency. At her balcony that evening, she closed her eyes and whispered, "Here's to new chapters." The city lights below seemed to echo her sentiment. After the storm, love had found her again, this time on her own terms. Tunde paced the tiled foyer of his parents' Ikoyi home, clutching a crisp envelope. His sister Mareo watched with concern. "You don't have to do this," she said softly. He shook his head. "I need her to know I'm truly sorry." His voice trembled. "I've lost everything, job, reputation, home. But I can't lose her respect." Inside the envelope was a handwritten letter, penned in careful strokes. "Dear Amira, I write knowing words cannot undo my betrayals, financial and emotional. I betrayed your trust at the core, and I own that failure. I loved you, but selfishness spoke louder than love. If you ever find it in your heart, I hope you'll forgive me. You deserve peace, joy, and a partner worthy of you. I will spend the rest of my life earning back the trust one shattered. With remorse. Tunde. He rehearsed delivery one more time, heart hammering. Then he set off for Amira's new apartment. Amira was reviewing edits on her memoir when the doorbell rang. Temi opened the door to reveal Tunde, suit rumpled, eyes red-rimmed. "Amira, may I come in?" he asked. Amira remained at her desk, her expression unreadable. "You have 5 minutes," she said, voice measured. He approached slowly, handing her the envelope. "Please read it," he implored. "I owe you that much." She took the letter, heart clenching. He waited in silence, shoulders slumped. After a beat, she tore the envelope open, scanning quickly. The color drained from her face. "You had your lawyer prepare interim filings without so much as a call," she said, tone cool. "You couldn't write me an email until you'd lost everything." He winced. "I was ashamed. I didn't deserve your time." Amira folded the letter. "Your apology is late, and convenient. But I won't throw away my healing for your convenience." Tunde's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry." She met his gaze steadily. "Some lessons stay in ashes." She held the letter aloft, then carried it to the balcony fireplace, a small, decorative chiminea. She set it inside and flicked her lighter. The paper crackled and curled, flame licking up the pages. Tunde watched as his words turned to ash. She turned back to him. "Goodbye, Tunde." He nodded, acceptance and sorrow intertwined. Without another word, he left. Amira closed the door, feeling a final click within her, closure secured. 6 months later, Lagos woke to an Instagram post from Kiki Adeyemi, a modest selfie captioned, "New Beginnings. #Grace #growth." Gone were the sequins and Lamborghinis. She wore simple cotton, minimal makeup, and a gentle smile. In her downtown church hall, Kiki hosted a small Reformation brunch for friends and local clergy. A hand-lettered sign read, "From Trials to Triumph, My Journey of Faith." Attendance was sparse, 15 people, half of whom were reporters. Kiki opened the event with a prayer, voice soft and unsteady. "I stand before you humbled," she began. "I allowed pride and desire for approval to cloud my judgment. I seek to rebuild, not around wealth, but around truth and service." She spoke of volunteering at a women's shelter and launching a small skincare line whose proceeds would fund scholarships. Afterwards, attendees mingled. A news anchor approached her. "You're forgiven, for now. But will the world follow your journey?" Kiki nodded. "I hope so. I'm committed to transparency and integrity." Outside, cameras snapped. Headlines soon read, "Influencer finds faith. Is this redemption?" Social media reaction was mixed. "A second chance? Too smooth. Still an opportunist. I'll watch and see." Over the next weeks, Kiki posted short videos. Cooking lessons, volunteer work at the shelter, candid reflections on humility. Engagement was minimal. Her follower count barely budged. But she persisted, emphasizing small victories. A sold-out modest skincare pop-up, a partnership with a Christian women's magazine. In time, a trickle of genuine supporters emerged, women inspired by her service, not her style. Kiki understood redemption would be a marathon, not a sprint. And in her quiet, steady steps, she sought to honor the forgiveness Amira had never extended to her. A year after the birthday reveal, a nostalgia-chasing TikTok creator posted a then versus now mashup. Amira's mic drop moment contrasted with her smiling at a 2026 Women's Summit. The video caption read, "From humiliation to hero, her story still inspires." It instantly went viral, racking up millions of views. Across platforms, YouTube compilations, Instagram throwbacks, even Twitter threads, the original clips resurfaced. Commentary ranged from admiration, legend behavior, to critique, she went too far. Meanwhile, university communications departments invited Amira to speak at seminars on crisis management and personal branding. Podcast hosts revisited the saga. One episode titled, "When a Party Becomes a Movement," analyzed each strategic move. Amira's name trended in global women's empowerment groups. One evening, Temi called excitedly, "Your story just came up on a BBC human interest segment." Amira watched on her laptop as the show highlighted her journey from corporate strategist to movement leader, emphasizing how a personal vendetta birthed a public cause. Comments poured in. She turned heartbreak into purpose. "I teach this case in my MBA classes." Legally savage. Amira sat back, reflecting on the phenomenon. The event she once dreaded remained a powerful testament to accountability and empowerment. She drafted a social media post. "Grateful that a difficult moment sparked change far beyond my own life. Let's keep using our stories to build each other up." Her post garnered waves of supportive replies and new followers. For Amira, the power of one viral moment had rippled into a lasting legacy, proof that even the most painful experiences can catalyze collective growth. In a sunlit conference room at her Ikoyi office, Amira hosted a brunch for women entrepreneurs, alumni of her Legacy First program. The long table brimmed with pastries, fresh juice, and laughter. Each attendee introduced herself, sharing successes. New businesses launched, marriages recovering, lives transformed. Amira listened, heart full. When it was her turn, she raised her mimosa. "To resilience," she toasted, "and to every woman who turns her pain into her power." Later, as guests departed, she slipped out to her balcony. A sleek black SUV, with personalized plate Legacy 1, waited in the driveway. She inhaled the evening air, fingers tracing the balcony railing. Below, the city's lights blinked on, mirroring the stars above. Temi joined her quietly, handing her a glass of elderflower sparkling water. They clinked glasses. "You did it," Temi said softly. Amira smiled, gaze drifting across the Lagos skyline. "We did it." Every woman who reclaimed her story. She sipped her drink, warmth unfurling in her chest. As night settled, she leaned into the moment, the distant hum of traffic, the soft glow of city lights, the promise of tomorrow. The party that once marked her greatest betrayal had become the catalyst for a life of purpose, empowerment, and redemption. And in that full circle, Amira knew her legacy was just beginning.